In the complete story of Security Breach, the Glamrock animatronics are trying to kill us, except for Glamrock Freddy. Why? And then all of a sudden, in Ruin, now he is trying to kill us. Why? Throughout the entirety of the Mega Pizzaplex, imagery and items surrounding the puppet is prevalent everywhere. Why? And to top it all off, the only clue we have to this is a plushie named after Nightmare from Five Nights at Freddy's 4. Why? All of these questions have been bugging the FNAF community ever since the game released, and the solutions range from the puppet being a mimic to Michael possessing Glamrock Freddy. But today, I am dismissing all of those answers because I have a theory that not only solves all of this, I might have came across the next villain of Five Nights at Freddy's. So with that being said, let's get into it. Now let's start off with the most popular question, the one that's in our face the entire game. Why exactly is Freddy helping us? I mean, by all means, it doesn't make sense. The Glamrocks all have a personality. Chica loving food for no reason, Monty being aggravated and angry all the time for no reason, Roxy being Roxy for no reason, and Freddy being the lovable overprotective dad we all know him for no reason. As far as we know, he's made exactly like the others. If you check his inside endo, you can see it's more or less the same as to what the others' insides are supposed to look like. So he's basically exactly like the other Glamrocks. So what's going on? Well, there's actually a pretty easy explanation for this, and I am aware that other popular theorists may have gone over this already, so I'll skim through this real quick. At the start of the game, we go through a cutscene which shows Freddy crashing out and failing while performing. Well, during his crash out, it's important to note that he is in performance mode, but we can also see some lines of coding. Something is trying to run on his system, but it failed because something went wrong with Freddy. The cause of this coding is most likely somebody like the Mimic, revealed to be Burnt Trap in Ruin, or Glitch Trap, who is unlikely at the moment because it's sort of revealed in Help Wanted 2 that he's been residing in Vanessa, aka Vanny, and then she killed him. Anyway, this line of coding came up because whoever is behind it wants somebody that might be Gregory. So we can assume that this coding is on the other Glamrocks as well, because what are they doing all game? Trying to get him, but it's not working on Freddy because he crashed and the line of coding failed to run, and when he boosts back up, we can see that he is now in save mode. So yes, the most realistic answer to Glamrock Freddy is because the evil line of coding that was supposed to make the animatronics catch Gregory crashed Freddy and caused him to revert back to safety mode. I'll say that again, safety mode. He is in the mode specifically made to be safe, so we can say by extension to protect people, to protect kids, to protect Gregory. However, you might think that, hey, he's forgetting something. Why did he crash? What caused the line of coding to fail? Surely this debunks the totally underwhelming solution to Glamrock Freddy. Well, I'm sorry to say this, but the Ruin DLC completes this theory. About halfway in Ruin, I think, we come across Glamrock Freddy. Or not, this Freddy doesn't have his head and he's attacking us for some reason. Something that he doesn't do in the base game. And most importantly, he is named Prototype on his foot, which isn't there in Security Breach. This obviously isn't our Glamrock Freddy. He's more like the complete opposite of him. However, we can come to the conclusion that whatever the ending for Security Breach is, Freddy's head goes with Vanessa and Gregory. The general state of Ruin Freddy completely matches one of the endings for him, where he gets violently torn apart, so there's that. And of course, you could say that there was painting on his foot that wore off in Ruin, or it was just an extra detail added for the game, a retcon of sorts. This new era of FNAF isn't exactly new to that. So yeah, this Freddy most likely is our Freddy. But what does this have to do with him crashing? Well, if Ruin Freddy really is the one from Security Breach, that means he was a prototype all along, and prototypes usually aren't up to code, which means the cause of this line of code not working could easily be because, well, this guy just doesn't work right. So yeah, that's probably the answer. Glamrock Freddy is helpful because he is a faulty prototype that crashed when the evil line of coding tried to run, and when he rebooted, he got into his regular corporate safety mode, meaning whatever he does, he needs to protect Gregory. Now, I know what's on your mind. Why exactly am I talking about this? What does this have to do with the bigger problem in the video? What does this have to do with the puppet? Well, while this is the most realistic answer, this is Five Nights at Freddy's. FNAF isn't realistic, and while I do think Glamrock Freddy being a prototype does have a part in this, I believe that this answer has something else at play here. Something or someone is messing with Glamrock Freddy to make him protective. Someone who may or may not be the next villain of FNAF. But to get into that answer, I have to go over the other question in this video, arguably the biggest one. So strap in, this is gonna be a ride. Now let's go over what the heck I'm talking about. All throughout Security Breach, imagery of the puppet can be seen everywhere, like I mentioned at the start of the video. This ranges from wires and lights being puppet themed, Nightmarrione plushes being found literally everywhere in the most random places, even inside a whole video game, like somebody make a video on the most ridiculous place he is in. And finally, down below the Pizzaplex in the weird sewer trash place.
Hello everybody. I'm trying to get some footage of the Nightmare staff bots, and to do that, I need to go through this cage, right? This door. Why is it not letting me go through the door? Like, what's wrong? What's so special about this that I just can't go through there? Look, I'll trick Freddy to open the door, and it just won't let me through. What the hell? What is this? Why? And I'm gonna have to like search up some random person's video just to get footage of the staff bots, because the game just doesn't let me go through it. What the hell?
Task bots are literally cosplaying as the puppet. This all cannot be a coincidence. This was very clearly meant to mean something. So let's see what exactly all of these references mean. We know that whatever this entity or situation is, it's able to physically alter the appearance of objects in the real world, as we can see from the wire changing color schemes and the staff bots, with the tear streaks and the color scheme being the same as our puppet, with the text "in your dreams" written on their torso. Now this could easily just be somebody drawing on them, but then again, this theme is happening all over the Pizzaplex, so I think it's not that simple. I also think that this is where the first clue comes in, the tear streak. You see, way back before the Mecha Pizza Place, when Charlie first got killed and possessed the puppet, it's important to note that the animatronic does not have the signature tears we've all come to know her by. It's only after Charlie possesses the puppet the tears form, meaning this is a result of possession. But then in Happy's Day, which a lot of people believe signifies the spirits of the original souls moving on via the mask falling on the floor. Hey guys, it's me, yes, deal with it. What I originally planned to say here was that we can see that the puppet lost her tears whenever the mask falls down. But now that I'm actually editing this, I can see that she does not lose her tears. I have no idea how this slipped past me when I was researching. This is completely embarrassing. Game theory, if you're watching this, like, ignore this please. I'm still learning. Okay, sorry. Now, because I can't say what I wanted to say, and I want this video to be more than 30 minutes, I'm gonna say this. What you should take from this is that I'm trying to prove that the puppet's tears are a result of possession. Now, let's pretend I showed some hardcore evidence that proves this, and I'm about to show you some more evidence, which is now. This is also further backed by the fact that the blob, or Tangle, has a puppet mask with no tears on it. Charlie isn't there. She moved on. Therefore, the signature sign of possession isn't there. So, let's look back at the bots. If tear streaks really are a sign of possession, that means... what? These bots can't be possessed. Who possesses them? Surely you're going insane, Guard. And you're right, I am going to say. And you're also right about them not being possessed. They aren't. You see, there's a popular theory going around that the reason for this puppet imagery is because the collective agony remnant from the events of FNAF are haunting the pizza place. And what I'm trying to say is, I think that these tears debunk that. I believe that these tear streaks are a symbol for a significant being or soul possessing something, not just emotion or remnant. And if this is true, that means a being or entity of some sorts is possessing these staff bots. The staff bots aren't the only things with tears, by the way. There's a hallway in Bonnie Bowl that shows a paper pal with tears on it, and another paper pal is shown in Help Wanted 2 when we eventually take off our mask. This wasn't even there before when the events of Security Breach happened, so that either means it was a retcon, unlikely, the pizzeria we see in Help Wanted 2 isn't the real one, or that the paper pals are possessed by a significant being. To sum it all up, what this means is these staff bots prove that all of this puppet imagery isn't just a result of agony or remnant, but instead a being of some sorts. And the reason I keep saying significant being is because I believe that this imagery isn't because of one little soul. It's something bigger, and the rest of the evidence will solve what this is. Alright, let's talk about what the other reference means. Probably the more obvious. The Nightmarrione plushies. Like I've mentioned like 50 times in this video, these are seen everywhere. But we have to note that these places seem completely random, so their exact location likely doesn't mean anything, except for one thing. In Help Wanted 2 in the Princess Quest game, if you look around closely, we can see a Nightmarrione plush just sitting there. And at first glance, it might not mean anything, just that it reinforces the idea that something is putting all of these here. But this means that whatever this is, it's able to affect the digital world, not just the physical one. And you want to know what else is digital? What else can this thing interact with? Well, we will get into that later because there's still more here. There's something else we have to figure out. The question we have to ask ourselves is, where the heck did all of these plushies come from? If you take a look at all of the shops, you would notice that these plushies aren't exactly for sale anymore. And while yes, it is a possibility that Fazbear Entertainment just has a lot of these plushies in storage, and whatever this entity is decided to bring those out to make itself known, the next question is, why? Fazbear Entertainment is one money-hungry company. They would do anything to get more of that dough. And it's not like people don't know that this plush as a character exists. In the real DLC, Cassie can find a Nightmare plush in AR mode, in which she says it's from that old headset game. First of all, old, didn't Help Wanted just come out before the Pizzaplex in the game's timeline? Well, whatever. The point is, this character is a thing that exists in the universe. So there's no reason Fazbear Entertainment would keep these plushies from hitting the shelves. Also, I mean, look at the guy. It's adorable. Now, I don't want to say that whatever this guy is, it's somehow able to materialize plushies of itself out of thin air, but at the moment it may seem like it is in fact doing so, and it already does that in the Princess Quest game. I know for sure there isn't some Nightmarrione plush asset in the Princess Quest coding just sitting there waiting to be used by this thing. These plushies are being made out of thin air. This is the case, or something similar like that, and I know this because what if I told you we already have seen something like this before, all the way back in the FNAF 4 cutscenes. If you can't remember, all around the setting of wherever the crying child is, there are multiple plushies of Golden Freddy watching us, stalking us, but never interacting with us, I think. This is exactly what is happening right now. Multiple plushies of Nightmarrione are watching us, stalking us, but never interacting with us. Now, one big debug to this is it's not exactly set in stone that in FNAF 4 there actually are Golden Freddy plushies watching our every move, but if I had a nickel for every time a plushie based on a mysterious character pops up in random but somehow hidden places to watch us but never interact with us, I think I would have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it's happened twice, so keep this in mind for later on in the video. I believe that this parallel will be important later. Now, one thing I need to talk about is one of the only hands-on interactions we get with this thing, when we actually collect its plush for ourselves in Security Breach and Ruin. You see, when both Gregory and Cassie collect this toy, it's both named as Nightmare, not Nightmarrione, not the puppet, not even Nightmare Puppet, just Nightmare. But that doesn't make any sense. They are both completely different entities based off of completely different characters, except in the FNAF 4 Halloween update where Nightmarrione basically takes Nightmare's place. But Scott himself said that the Halloween update wasn't canon, and he did decide to try to give Nightmarrione its own identity in future games, such as Ultimate Custom Night, where they are literally shown as separate characters with their own voice lines. Unless it's a retcon. You see, yeah, I'm sorry, it's not a retcon. That was a joke. Well, at least I don't think it's a retcon. I feel like this thing is called Nightmare for a reason. They could have easily called this Nightmarrione its original name, but they didn't. They called it Nightmare. Steel Wool wants us to look into the meaning of this name. And so, what we need to do is we need to look back at the other character in this game with the same exact name. We need to go straight into Five Nights at Freddy's 4. Hey guys, it's me, Skilled Guard. If you remember in my last video, I said I would make a video subbing FNAF 4. That was only if that video did good, and as of writing this script, it seems like it's only enough to get me monetized, so I swear, next video, that's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna solve FNAF 4, I promise. Now let's get on with it.
Recent discovery of what happened came to light. I don't have much time to say that.
So, Nightmare. The only games he really appears in are in FNAF 4 and Ultimate Custom Night. However, for now at least, let's focus on FNAF 4, albeit not too much because I don't want to reveal too much for my next video. This guy is basically just Nightmare Fredbear, but harder.
Oh, come on with the fake laugh! It's such bullshit!
In the game files for Nightmare's Night, the text for Nightmare Mode, which is the name of his night, is labeled as Shadow Freddy, which at first you could say, okay, so it might be some evidence for Nightmare being Shadow Freddy, but it's not enough evidence. However, in the actual game mode itself, when Nightmare appears, a counter in the game's coding gets turned on when Nightmare actually appears, and that counter is called Shadow. So considering the file name and this, it's safe to say that Nightmare is Shadow Freddy. And if this is true, this could tell us a lot on what exactly Nightmare is. We just have to take a closer look at Shadow Freddy. So let me break it down for you. Why is this such a deep rabbit hole, dude? It would be just so much easier if we could just go to the place in real life. You know what? I'm promoting right now. If I reach 1 million subscribers, I will do everything I can to get into a call with Scott Coffin and try to convince him to make an IRL mega pizzaplex. It may not work, and there's probably a million reasons why, but hey, at least I tried. Let's get back into it. Shadow Freddy, his character I mean, is based off of either Freddy or Golden Freddy. And I'm gonna say Golden Freddy because looking at both the designs of FNAF 3 and FNAF 2, it's very clear that he's supposed to be based off of him. So Shadow Freddy equals Golden Freddy, which equals Nightmare. I'll tell you why this is important later. We know that Shadow Freddy isn't exactly the kill you type. If he was, we would have already seen him try to kill us in all of the games, as if you don't remember, he's there. We can see him in FNAF 2, FNAF 3, and in the FNAF 3 cutscenes, it's revealed that he's actually in the FNAF 1 location as well. He was in all of the locations. And if he's not killing, what is he doing? He's watching. Sound familiar? He's not just watching in the first 3 games either. He's been watching us in FNAF 4. What am I talking about? Well, I already talked about it. The Fredbear plushies. You see, like I mentioned, the true reason of these plushies hasn't been decided yet. But one thing that has been decided on is that these things are watching us. Just like a security breach. Oh my god, I get to talk about Nightmarrione again. The Nightmare plushies are also watching us. And those plushies are based off of Nightmarrione, obviously. And the Fredbear plushies are based off of Fredbear, aka Golden Freddy. And in this case, from what I mentioned earlier, aka Shadow Freddy. He materialized those plushies there to watch us, just like how Nightmarrione did the exact same thing. Shadow Freddy has been watching us just like Nightmarrione. What am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that Nightmarrione and Shadow Freddy are the same exact being. These connections can't be coincidental. They use the same tactics to watch us. They only just watch us, never doing anything. And if the staff bot's tear streaks are a result of Nightmarrione, you could say that the tear streaks we see on the posters and papers in FNAF 2 and 3 are the result of Shadow Freddy, since he is confirmed to be in that location. Nightmarrione is Shadow Freddy. But this just begs the question, why is he different? Why go from a form of Golden Freddy to a form of the puppet, especially after the puppet's soul is confirmed to be long gone? Well, it all has to do with the one thing I've been mentioning all video: interference. You see, I've been talking about how Nightmarrione, aka Shadow Freddy, has never interfered with us. But if your FNAF lore game is on point, you would know that this simply isn't true. First off, we are going off the assumption that Shadow Freddy is indeed Nightmarrione. And because of that, this statement of him not interfering with us immediately becomes false because, well, he's literally directly interfering with us. He's actively trying to kill us in FNAF 4. That's interference. Not to mention, in the FNAF 3 cutscenes, he's actively leading the souls to William. And whether he was helping William or not, this is interference. But let's talk about what wouldn't have happened if he didn't interfere. FNAF 4, what if he didn't try to kill us, aka Michael? What if him not trying to kill Michael led him to not try and go through all of the games to try and find his father? What if the souls didn't escape from animatronic form and caused William to be spring-locked? What if Shadow Freddy didn't interfere with them? You see, I believe that Shadow Freddy only interferes when he needs to. These are the events that cause major change in the story. And what if they didn't happen? He only interferes when something needs to happen, a canon event if you will. But what does this have to do with him changing into Nightmarrione? Well, let's look at who he was based off of: Golden Freddy. From what we know, this guy is the most aggressive out of all of the souls, as seen in FNAF 2 and FNAF 4, and it's also seen in the UCN as a possibility that it is indeed him causing the game. So what if Shadow Freddy took the form of Golden Freddy because he needs to be aggressive, he needs to take action, he needs to make sure that these things happen, and this calls for standing up and getting things done. This calls for aggression. So when all of these things are done, Michael decides to go after William, and William himself is spring-trapped, it's time for him to change things up, to be more calm, just like the puppet. The puppet is calm. She's arguably the least aggressive out of all of them, and all she wants to do is help. So he changed into the puppet, or at least a version of her. He changed into Nightmarrione, and he continues to do the exact same thing he's been doing, watching us, stalking us, and waiting. Editing takes a long time, and I need to take breaks every once in a while. So when I do, I'm gonna be streaming over on Twitch, so make sure to go follow that. And if I reach 1K followers on there, I will be doing a giveaway to 5 people that have subscribed, followed, and joined the Discord server. So hurry up and do all of those things for a chance to win $20 Google Play card, Steam card, expensive FNAF plushie. I'm not too sure yet, but it will be worth it, trust me. Anyways, let's get back into it. So let's collect what we all know. Nightmarrione is Shadow Freddy, and we gathered this mostly because of the similarities with the plushies from FNAF 4. Okay, as a desperate attempt to get this video to be at least 30 minutes, I'm gonna point out something real quick. Take a look at the official render for Shadow Freddy. Focus on the eyes. Now let's take a look at the official render for Nightmarrione. Notice how similar the eyes are. No other animatronic in this game has eyes like this from what I can remember. Not even Golden Freddy, his eyes are much smaller. So if you didn't have enough evidence throughout this video, hopefully this will help. Anyways, and he only interferes when he needs to, as seen in FNAF 3 and 4. His mere presence causes physical change in the location he is in, as seen in the color changed wires and electronics and security breach and the posters and paper piles in FNAF 2 and 3. Also FNAF 1, remember those little poster thingies? Yeah. Speaking of electronics, he's able to go into the digital plane, as seen in Help Water 2's Princess Quest. And with all of this, as of now, all he is doing is watching us, stalking us, and waiting. This leaves us with the final 3 questions of Nightmarione's appearance in Security Breach. Where did he come from? Why is he watching us? And why hasn't he interfered with us in the Nightmarrione form? Well, I can answer that last one pretty easily, because that question assumes that he has not interfered with us in Security Breach. He has. Enter Glamrock Freddy. Yes, I didn't forget about him. I believe that Nightmarrione, aka Shadow Freddy, has already interfered with us. He caused Glamrock Freddy to crash. Think about it. We know that something caused him to crash. Not the line of coding, because that worked on the other animatronics, but something with Glamrock Freddy specifically refused this line of code. That something may have been Nightmarrione. And we know that this guy is able to mess with anything digital. So it's not much of a stretch to say that he did something to our Freddy. Maybe even actively possessed him for a bit and caused him to crash. He caused the line of evil coding to fail. He caused Glamrock Freddy to be a hero. Now, exactly how did he do that to Glamrock Freddy? Well, remember what I said at the start when I was first talking about Glamrock Freddy? I explained how him being a prototype might have been the reason he's all helpful now. But I dismissed that and I said that I think the answer is something else. But that him being a prototype does indeed have something to do with this. Well, it's not much, but what if Glamrock Freddy being a prototype, with prototypes being all buggy and not up to code and all, allowed Nightmarrione to enter Freddy in some way and cause the crashing? You could say that, hey, maybe that's true, but it's a bit irrelevant. What if there was something else that caused Nightmarrione to enter Freddy? However, here's the thing. If what I'm saying is true, that means Nightmarrione chose to only mess with Freddy. But what about the other Glamrocks? We know that this guy has much more control over the Pizzaplex as a whole, so why not go ahead and fix the others? Well, Nightmarrione couldn't. Assuming the other Glamrocks aren't prototypes, unlike our Freddy, they are up to code. They wouldn't be as buggy as Freddy because they are simply just built different. Glamrock Freddy being a prototype to help Nightmarrione mess with him to help Gregory. With that being said, there is something else within this that really seals the deal for me. One last thing, and that is who they interfere with. Earlier, I explained how Shadow Freddy is aggressive because of Golden Freddy, and that Nightmarrione is more calm because of the puppet. But let's look at exactly who they were being aggressive and calm with. Golden Freddy's whole arc is literally just you, William. Most of this comes from, like I mentioned earlier, Ultimate Custom Night, where he's not letting William go in his own personalized hell. At least I think it is. Like, the books might have said it was like some dream of some sorts. Whatever, I'm not getting into all of that right now. But what we need to take from this is that Golden Freddy is aggressive towards William. The things he does is to mess with him. This is extremely similar to Shadow Freddy. All of Shadow Freddy's interferences, one way or another, goes back to William, making Michael go find him and making the soul spring lock him. The thing Shadow Freddy does is to mess with William. Now, let's look at the puppet. What exactly has she done to mess with William? Not much. I haven't really gone over the things that she's done, but I'll summarize it to keep things simple. Her interferences mostly involve helping the children, giving them life and helping them move on. This, while not exactly, is still somewhat similar to what Nightmarrione does in Security Breach. Nightmarrione's interference, like I just mentioned, was to Glamrock Freddy, but I believe she did that to help Gregory, to help a kid, just like how the puppet interfered to help the original souls, the kids. Shadow Freddy interferes to mess with William, and Nightmarrione interferes to help with the kids. Exactly like who they were based off of. Are these parallels a coincidence? Well, maybe. But to me, it feels way too specific to be something to pass by. So, like I originally said, each time he's interfered, it was to help move on the story, to help end William, and to make William go out and do that when he eventually comes back. And this time, it is literally no different. When he interfered with Glamrock Freddy this time, it was to help and move the story, to help end the Mimic, aka Burntrap, who caused the line of evil coding, and to make Gregory go out and do exactly that. Nightmarrione has interfered with us, specifically with Glamrock Freddy. So now that that question is out of the way, time for the second to last question. Why is he watching us? Why was he watching us, period? Like, at all, to begin with. This theory implies that Shadow Freddy was there from the start. He was there to watch the grandchild die, which is one of the first events of FNAF. Well, this isn't really much of a problem, as I kinda already answered this question. Like I mentioned, the things he does help move on the story, and I think that's his purpose here. That's why he exists. That's why he's watching us. He's doing that to make sure the story goes exactly as it should. But how does he know how it should go? Is he a god of some sorts? Well, not exactly. As if he was truly an omnipotent being, he probably would have stopped everything to begin with. So it's clear that he's shackled by some mortal limitations. What are they? Well, the answer to this leads directly to the very last question, and arguably the most important. Where did he come from? This question has already been theorized a lot. As you know, Nightmarrione is Shadow Freddy, and Shadow Freddy's existence has been questioned quite a bit. Well, let's go back and look into one of his voice lines, technically his in Ultimate Custom Night. It's a popular theory that the protagonist or antagonist of UCN is William Afton, and if that is true, that means Nightmare is William's wickedness made of flesh. And there you have it. That's the answer. How does that work exactly? Well, how does possession work? How does Springtrap live for so long? How does Remnant exactly exist? And how exactly did Shadow Freddy come to be? I don't think something like this was meant to have a clear answer. I feel like it was meant to be somewhat blurry like the other questions I just mentioned. They don't have a clear answer, but it's just barely clear enough that we can make sense of it. But still, I don't think that this will ever be solved. How Shadow Freddy came to be. Maybe where and when, such as Midnight Motorists, but the exact reason as to how and very possibly why will never ever be solved. I believe this aspect of FNAF is going to be something like the box, or the reason why William did the things he did. It was never meant to be solved. So what's next? Is Nightmarrione just gonna sit there and stalk us for the rest of the franchise? Well, not exactly. Let me go back to the whole interference thing. Nightmarrione only interferes when it's needed. It felt needed with William, and it felt needed with Glamrock Freddy. So, as my last parting message for this video, what if Nightmarrione's next interference is with us? With Gregory, Cassidy, Glamrock Freddy, or even Vanessa? What if she decides to interfere with us and not in a good way? Yes, I am proposing that eventually Nightmarrione will deem us a liability to the grand scheme of the story and will try to get rid of us and become the next big villain of Five Nights at Freddy's. Yeah, I know the Mimic is the villain right now, but I'm talking about after the Mimic, you know? The Mimic isn't gonna stay the villain forever. It happened to William, and with that, I'm leaving you with the biggest cliffhanger. I hope you enjoyed the video. See you later.